Hey everyone. So I made almost this exact type of video 6 months ago before my hiatus when Brig was first unveiled. I went into every tank, their design philosophy, and how they stacked up against each other. It was honestly one of my favorite videos I had ever made. Problem is, nobody watched it. And I think it's because it was like 1.5 to 2 hours long or something. Anyways, I'm gonna do it again, but this time character by character, different episodes, and I'll be cycling through doing a tank and then a support and then DPS and then probably keeping it going like that, or I'll just do whoever interests me the most. Anyways, like I said before, the idea of the video came from when they first unveiled Brig's new ultimate, where she had that giant shield, and it really looked ridiculous. Turns out it wasn't that bad, but it just looked just kind of ridiculous. So I started thinking to myself, what are the design philosophies of these characters, right? Like when they're trying to make a character, what's like the list they throw on the board and like try to complete. So yeah, I started analyzing the core things about the characters in each role that constituted them being in that role. And I've seen that there's quite a number of factors, several categories split into many other subcategories. So the first category would be universal stats, and the second one would be role-specific stats. So universal stats are something I think I should keep consistent throughout. I'll get more into detail on that later. And role-specific stats is essentially the things that put you in your role and how you stack up with essentially all the other characters you're competing with. After that, it's probably ease to play, which is pretty straightforward, right? How much value you get for how easy a character is to play. And then lastly was the ultimates, because ultimates were interesting because from what I observed, it seems like ultimates are made to kind of make up for what a character is missing in their role specific stats, right? For example, Zenyatta has low healing, but his ultimate heals you faster than anyone could kill you. So there's kind of an interesting push-pull for that, that I'll try to figure out how to give these ideas in an easily digestible way. But if you guys have any suggestions in the comments, I'm all ears. And at the end of each character analysis, I'm gonna have there's a magnitude factor. So that's essentially the magnitude, or it's almost like saying the tier, but without really comparing what's the comps are currently viable, but it's comparing the standalone tier of the character based off of the universal stats and the role specific stats. And I'm sorry if all of this sounds confusing. You guys know how my mind works now with my rework. Not just my rework videos, but also my job. I'm a big numbers guy, so it'll make sense once I go through everything. So first I'm going to elaborate on universal stats. So these are stats that are normalized across all the roles for the sake of consistency and comparison. So in the two categories under this would be damage output and effective health. The reason why these are universal is to see how some characters compare to others who are not from the same role. For example, Baptiste does almost as much damage as a soldier, if not more damage than a soldier, but also heals more than a Kiriko. So there's things like this where once we factor these things into the magnitude of the character, you'll see why they are S tier characters and probably need a nerf. And now for the role specific stats. For tank, the first one would be crowd control, because tanks are the only role, or were supposed to be the only role that had some form of CC or stun ability, which I think with the last patch they did get rid of a lot of the CC that they had given to DPS and other characters, so that's good. The next category would be damage mitigation, and because this contributes to their tankiness, right? Every tank has something that helps them avoid damage, and it's not all as simple as you think it would be, especially with Doomfist, which is kind of why I chose Doomfist to be first, but also because I love Doomfist. And the third one would be self-sustain. Every tank has some way to, let's say, temporarily increase their health. or maybe not even just temporarily increase their health, like also just just increase their health, right? As in like healing themselves, or we'll get into that. This is also not as easy as you think it would be. So a few final things before we begin, and I know we're 5 minutes into the video, but this is the last part. It'll only take like a minute. Some of these numbers may have changed and may not be completely accurate, like the number of HP a character has or how much damage something does. But it's still, I don't think it's going to change much, if it's even wrong, because even when they change a character, they still kind of leave them around ballpark of what they were. So please bear with me, and yeah. Another thing is, going into this, I do think there is a damage problem in the game. I think everybody does maybe too much damage, or besides DPS. I think everybody who's not a DPS needs a nerf to the amount of damage they can do. Maybe not tanks, or maybe less so tanks, because you guys have seen the support video I released earlier this week. But I do think that part of the universal stats thing is to kind of show that there is there is a problem somewhere where a certain group just needs a nerf in certain things. Right, I think a good spread for how the stats of the tank should be is probably for health. A good place would be 3.5 to 5. Attack should be 3 to 3.5. CC, mitigation, and sustain should probably have a combined 7 to 11. But again, this is getting too into the numbers, so I'll stop. I might just move this to the end. So now let's begin. So Doomfist has an effective health of 450, which is, I gave him a 3.5 for here in this category, because if you saw the numbers, because I think 3.5 is on the low end of what a tank should have for his HP. And he has like no shields, no armor, so everything's just straight to the point, just straight, HP. So that's what gives him such a low rating for by tank standards, right? But he does make up for this in several other ways. Now, a different category where I think I wanted to put in here is the situations he's supposed to be in while fighting, because he has a low amount of HP, but he also has to fight like right up in front of the enemy team. So, somebody like Orisa, who has like a lot more HP but doesn't have to be in the middle of a fight, the health just lasts longer, right? Or somebody like Reinhardt, who has like a ton of HP but is always dying because he's always just fighting everybody. He can't protect himself while he's fighting and all that jazz. So I'm not factoring that in here. Maybe I'll try to figure out how I can later on. But as for now, I'm just doing it straight for the HP. So Doomfist gets a 3.5 score for his health, for his effective health, and again, that's low end for tanks. But again, he makes up for it in other ways. Next category is his damage output. Doomfist is very powerful. He has great burst and very powerful, consistent AoE damage. He gets a 4 over here, 4 out of 5 here. His Seismic Slime is a kill everything dying that's in the area move, but that's not why I have his rating so high. The reason this rating is so high is because his punches affect everyone equally, and personally, I think that's crazy strong. When he has a powered up punch and you're just hitting everybody into a wall, that is an absurd amount of damage. If you guys saw my how to fix Doomfist video before they did this rework on him, before he got to this stage, back when the game first came out, my idea was that only the main person getting punched should get all the damage, and everybody else should get like a lower amount of damage. But they screwed him up in other ways, so whatever. Because it's kind of wild that with one move I could punch like 3 people into a wall, giving 80 damage to each of them. Like that's it. And at the same time giving everybody a stun. Well, they just nerfed the stun so bad, so whatever. If there was a nerf to Doomfist, I think maybe it would be here, maybe not. They just really screwed with him so much. But again, like my how to fix Doomfist original video, I had it so that even with the seismic slam, everybody who's closer to you takes more damage. Everybody who's further away takes less damage, just to kind of, reward more of the precision attacks. But we'll get into that later, because this also kind of goes into his ultimate, which I can say over here, his ultimate really sucks. Doesn't really kill that much. But the good thing is that he gets it like every other fight. At least when I play, like I got my ultimate. It's very common for me to get my ultimate in the same fight, like literally from 0. I could go from 0 to 100 and then use it, and then go to like 0 to 50 in like the same fight. So although it sucks, it comes in so often, and it helps him kind of escape and also just continue with his whole AoE damage thing, where he just consistently is fighting everybody to the point where I don't know if it matters that much, but we'll get into that in the ultimate section. Now for his CC, or crowd control. Doomfist in Overwatch 1 was the king of CC. It's actually probably the big reason why he became a tank, right? Because they wanted to keep only tanks CC characters, and he was all about CC. So anyways, he has great CC. He gets a 4 over here. 4 out of 5 over here, because he's able to stun every 4 seconds. He's able to stop somebody, or he's able to stop a group of people from doing whatever they're doing every 4 seconds. That's insanely powerful. It's not even just every 4 seconds, right? Because you have your punch every 4 seconds. But let's say you punch somebody, and then what I do is if I punch somebody, I put up my seismic, my power block, and then I get my empowered fist. So I actually have like 2 punches like every 2 seconds. Well, I have a punch, and then 2 seconds later I have another punch, and then 4 seconds later I have my regular punch again. So what does that average out to? Every 3 seconds? And it's not just one person. It's a group of people. He's not just hitting one person. So he stuns groups of people on average every 3 seconds. That's insane. And pushes them off the ledge, pushes them just out of position. I like to slam behind certain characters and then punch them into my team, and they have like it's ridiculous. And I don't remember exactly why I don't give him a 5 for this, but maybe I remember. But it is what it is. If he had his uppercut, he'd easily be he would easily be a 5, but that's not coming back. So now for his damage mitigation stat. And you might think his damage mitigation is his power block, and yes, it is, and it's decent. It's okay, right? It has kept me alive several times, especially if you have a competent healer and gives you your empowered fist. But that's not his big damage mitigation. For anybody who's seen my other Doomfist videos, his big damage mitigation is his mobility. He's essentially like a character who put all his stats into evasiveness instead of defense, which is why his HP is so low. Like, this guy moves so much, he's insanely hard to hit. Like, generally, if I'm being attacked and I just seismic slam, like during that time while I'm traveling seismic slamming, if I don't go too high or too far, I just stop taking damage. Like, people can't track you that fast. Even if you're mid punch, I generally don't die if I'm in the middle of slamming or if I'm in the middle of punching. So yeah, I don't know if I gave the number, but he gets a 4 here easily. He's a character that's always hopping left and right, like up and down behind walls and everything, like to his healers, back into the fight, into the back line, out of line of sight for damage. His big way of avoiding damage or damage mitigation is just his evasiveness. Power block is also a factor there, so throw in power block, and he puts up his power block long enough for him to get his seismic slam back, and then he just leaves. So yeah, that is definitely that is definitely a high score here. And next category is his sustainability, and this one's pretty obvious, right? And one of the best in the game. His sustainability, what essentially helps him recover HP, is his what is it called again? The best defense. Yeah, the best defense is a good offense. The more he fights, the more he heals, right? He doesn't have any. He doesn't really have that much HP, right? He has the lowest He's on the low end of what a tank should have for HP, in my opinion. But that's more than made up for because when all his moves hit everybody, so and he has it like so consistently, so he's always just recovering HP and just kind of making up for what he's losing. So yeah, this is insane. Also, he's really good at keeping his HP up, in my opinion. Because it's kind of like what I said earlier, like you could slam in, right, and then punch somebody, put up your power block, get your empowered fist, punch another person, and then slam again. Each one of these hits several people if you're doing it right. That is a ton of HP he's recovering in like one clip of his moveset. So yeah, he has fantastic sustainability. So let's move on to the next section. Oh wait, that's all the categories for universal and role specific stats. So let's get into the magnitude, and I need to explain something here real quick. So there's already an established magnitude equation for all you math people out there, right? It's it's like the square root of the sum of all the squares of each variable. So this is a really good equation, not just in the math world, but well, not just for this video, but in the math world. It's just so easily applied to so many things in the real world that it's the reason why I'm using it here. I use it for my job all the time. So it's a really good equation to know. So if you do the math on this, it gives Doomfist a magnitude of 8.7. Now, most of the stats are in the range where I think they should be for Doomfist, except for maybe his attack. I do think his attack is a lot, but I don't mind it. I like Doomfist being strong, so that's my bias. I don't know, because he sucks in like so many other categories, kind of. Well, not really. Just the stun video I made yesterday, I'm thinking about. But, that's so useless, it doesn't really matter, right? It doesn't matter. Because based off this video, he doesn't suck in other categories besides maybe his HP, but again, sustainability makes up for that. So I do think he's a balanced character. I think he's at a good place with a magnitude of 8.7. And also, it's not out of 10, right? This is an 8.7 out of 10. I think the maximum possible score is 11.18 because there are 5 categories. As for his ease to play category, one, I'm not putting ease to play in magnitude. I'm not putting ease to play or his ultimate into the magnitude. Ultimate, I would like to interrupt this video to ask you to like and subscribe. If you made it this far in the video, chances are you kind of like what I'm talking about. So, help me out, guys. I'm not putting into the magnitude because, one, I don't know how I would even do that, right? That's something we probably need to discuss in the comment section. As for ease to play, no. Think of ease to play as like a counter to the magnitude, right? The higher your magnitude, probably the lower your ease to play should be, right? You don't want to get like max value out of a character that takes like no skill to be able to play, right? That's not really fair, right? The more value you're getting on a character compared to everybody else, that should be a reward for putting in the work to be able to be that good with that character. So Doomfist, I think his ease to play, I think he gets a 2 for ease to play. Landing your punches and having the right positioning and learning when to get out of a fight, all these things, and fighting so close to your enemy, especially with Annas and Kiriko's running around, it's hard. And Doomfist really is feast or feed, right? His skill floor is pretty high, right? I think a lot of people just aren't that good with him, from what I've seen. Even when I'm playing against another Doomfist online, they normally just feed. They just don't know how to use their cover, or they just get too excited, or they don't realize that they're about to run out of their moves, or like just where to slam so that you can just hide behind a wall without just going straight into the enemy team. Like there's all these nuances to the character that your enemy could easily take advantage of. So he gets a 2 for ease to play. But also, you could easily be demolished by Doomfist if they know what the hell they're doing. Like demolished. Like you could go in and have like a a 3v1 while being Doomfist if you know what you're doing, and I do those consistently. And as for his ultimate, the last section, I don't know, guys. It sucks, but he gets it a lot, so it's okay. And you could do enough damage for just to kind of clean up or save yourself, or just damage some people so that your teammates can finish somebody off, or just even just scare the enemy team to like getting off a certain, like, the point or a certain area. And then the big thing is that he gets it all the time. I could get my ult 6-7 times in a game, right? It's like not even a big deal, but it just sucks. So I don't know. I'll give it a 2.5. I'll give it, I didn't write a script for this part. I'm just kind of, I hear like a 2.5. Right, just kind of right in the middle. Just, it sucks, but it's not entirely useless. It kind of is, but you just get it so much, you're gonna catch somebody slipping.
Well, actually, the more I think about it, like thinking about all this out loud, it's kind of interesting because his other stats are so good, it probably justifies why his ultimate is so bad. Right? Does that make sense? Because if Doomfist's ultimate were completely taken away, I don't think I would lose any more than I do now. Lose or win any more than I do now. I feel like it just kind of helps him keep doing what he's doing because everything else is already so good. Right? It's not like Zenyatta where he has very low healing, but then he's able to make up for it with his ultimate later on, which does like this mass healing to everybody to the point where they can't die. Or Zarya, who has 0 CC, but then her ultimate is like the ultimate CC ability. So if we were to categorize this, and I'm thinking as I'm going, guys, if we were to categorize this and then give it a number to where it falls under the role-specific tasks, or even universal tasks, I think that this would fall, for Doomfist, it would fall under damage mitigation, because that is his... the way he mitigates damage is his evasiveness, like I said earlier. And for that, I think it does do a really good job, right? You get to go into the fight, use all your stuff, and from what I explained earlier, it's actually quite a lot of stuff that you get to do. And then you press a button and you're gone, and then you could go right back in and just continue. So, yeah, I think I still think 2.5 is a good score, because it's not that special. It just kind of helps you stay great. So yeah, interesting. That's actually, I didn't think about that until I started recording. So for the summary, well, one thing I wanted to add is the reason why his attack and sustainability are both kind of in red is to show that I could see a world where if the entire game got a nerf, these are the things that would, maybe not even the entire game got a nerf, but those are the two areas where I think a nerf is possible, not by too much. Where, if you guys saw my original How to Fix Doomfist video, you did more damage and generated more shield depending on how close the person was to you when you did an attack like Seismic Slam, or if it was the direct person you were hitting, right? So you would generate, if you did your Empowered Punch, you punch like 3 people into a wall, the main person you hit would give you your full shield amount, while everybody else would give you a portion of that. So I could see something like that happening, where I can see where a nerf should happen. But anyways, in general, Doomfist, all his stats are actually really good. And because of that, I think it's a big reason why he's so hard to play, and a big reason why his ultimate is kind of trash. So yeah, I think this is pretty accurate. I think this is a good scale for him.
So yeah, there you have it. This is for Doomfist. I did Doomfist first because I know him in and out. Like, I just know him so well, and I think it's the best way for me to convey what I'm trying to do here, right? So every category we went through with Doomfist, it will be the same category for Orisa, Zarya, Ramatra, all of them. So yeah, I hope you guys like the video. I hope you see what I'm trying to do here, and hopefully we can improve these categories, right, in the comment sections if you think there's something else that should be added. Because again, I'm trying to figure out what the heck I'm trying to figure out what the Overwatch team looks at when making a character.
because we just got a character like Mauga, like what, last week, and his sustainability and damage mitigation, they're both like not like, one is not existent, right? He has no damage mitigation, but his sustainability was kind of garbage. It was kind of garbage, like a 1.5 or a 2. Well, he's trying to be like Roadhog, but doesn't have Roadhog's old. I'm talking about previous Roadhog. He doesn't have previous Roadhog's. His damage mitigation was essentially just he kills you before he could kill it, before you could kill him, right? So he had almost like a 0 there, but it all went into his damage stats. So he had like a 5. He had like a 5 there. So, just throwing out my thoughts at you guys now. So anyways, don't forget to like and subscribe, leave a comment for the algorithm, and don't forget, I love you.